Scott, Paul and I we go back to 95, 96. It was we did our first deal in 1996.
That's crazy. You know, he was stoked when he heard. That was awesome.
That's
pretty
27 years ago.
I know.
And every stage of his evolution, I had the privilege.
We should get this on We should get this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already filming?
I got you. Yeah.
Welcome to another podcast with the Brandon Fugal. No, for real. Like, I hope that was all captured because we need to leave it.
Oh.
But it's crazy how this even happened, like with Paul.
Well,
like the story.
You have such a dynamic story, and you are just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
That's what I am so excited for, is to see Gigg now opening its next chapter. Yeah. And you're one of the true entrepreneurs that is really making it happen here in Utah County. Thanks, and it's fun to watch.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
And a privilege. And your space looks great.
Yeah, so, man. It is. This space is definitely the coolest space I've ever been in.
Yeah.
In my professional career. And I've been in some pretty cool spaces in this, and good spaces. I mean, This guy is the kingpin. Oh. I mean, you have to be ranked up in one of the best agents, commercial agents in the Western states, if not in the United States. You have to be ranked up there.
I've been lucky. I've been very fortunate.
He's way too humble. But you have to know, like, you got to be up there, like, for real, like top 10, top 20. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You got to love humility, right?
I've been lucky. No, I think I currently represent more office projects than anyone in Utah. And over the course of the last 31 years, I've had the privilege of working with probably more developers and companies than anyone along the Wasatch Front, as well as growing my own firm from inception. So it has been such a privilege to watch Silicon Slopes rise, to see Utah join the national stage. I mean, to see Utah graduate from being a tertiary market that really wasn't on anyone's map, nationally or globally, to now graduate from being the crossroads of the West to the crossroads of the world.
Yeah, man.
And being able to have a seat at the table and to be advising developers, entrepreneurs like yourself, and community leaders relative to the next stage of growth and I think exciting development in our community is a great privilege. So it's good to be with you.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited about this. And to give him a formal introduction, this is Brandon Fugal. He is, again, the kingpin of commercial real estate, especially here. It's funny because I have the privilege of working with a boatload of incredible entrepreneurs, and I feel like you're a part of every one of their stories as far as where they're, where they've set up shop or, what they're doing. This guy has accomplished some incredible things, and we're going to talk a lot about it. But the other thing about Brandon, he's as good as guy as they come. Really, you have a photographic memory. Watching you come in and talk to Paul was pretty fun, and I think he was blown away by all the memories that you had going back, like you said, 27 years ago.
Well, I remember being a young broker advisor to his startup, and as he'd mentioned, they were just 6 people in a scrappy little space getting ready to expand and grow in a very dynamic way. And so we took them from essentially 2,000 square feet to hundreds of thousands of square feet over the course of many years. And congratulations on your new partnership. He's one of the great leaders and entrepreneurs here in the state of Utah, and it'll be fun to watch him help you shepherd Gigg to
it's going to be fun.
The next level. Yeah,
and you've been such a support and an advocate to me, over the years, and it's going to get fun. So I still can't believe it. The story's awesome. Well, I'll have to tell you about it, off camera, but what a blessing it's been to have that guy. I mean, he like you said, when you first saw him, he's a legend. I mean, this guy, I mean, he just, as of last week, was running, up until last week, was running a $12 billion enterprise global company. And somehow I conned him into actually taking a stab at this Gigg company. But and I don't know, Cash, if you captured this on film, but Paul was like, "We're gonna make sure this happens over here." With Gigg. And it's gonna happen. It's just been a wild ride. But you've been there, supportive through thick and thin over the last decade. I've been going at this with Gigg, and it's fun that things are finally starting to come together.
Yeah. Well, let's catch up.
Yeah.
Ask me anything.
Yeah, we're
There's
going
a
to talk.
lot
So
going
we've
on.
got a lot to go over. But one of the things I love about Brandon is he has honestly dialed in networking. I truly believe that networking is the most powerful way to build your career, your profession, and you have really, really dialed it in. I mean, I would say that you rank in the top 10 most networked individuals that I personally, know, have a relationship with. And but I want to learn how you did this, because you've been at this for what? How
30,
long?
31, going on 32 years.
31, 32 years. So let's start talking about that. Do you believe that your network has played a role in your success?
Absolutely. It's everything. And business is about relationships. What it comes down to, I mean, your network ultimately becomes your net worth, essentially, is the most priceless part of what you build in your business. And I started my career young, as a teenager, in business and commercial real estate, and focused on making contact with the key decision makers, with the entrepreneurs, with the C-suite executives that I believed were changing the landscape of our economy. And the first several years in the business, I focused on really developing proprietary intelligence, identifying who those people were, and also the developers. Who are the developers that are literally changing the landscape in a very physical way, and matching them up, pulling companies together with potential developers, landlords, in order to chart the course of their real estate programming and their expansion. Everyone in business has to have a real estate strategy. Just like death and taxes, if you're in business, you can't escape real estate.
Amen.
It's essential. And I think having a strategic advisor to help guide you, regardless of whether you are a scrappy startup with 4 employees or 6 employees, or you're scaling up to 600 employees, it is so important to have someone that can help you develop that roadmap, and also assist with identifying the potholes and also the cost savings and some of the opportunities in the market. So many of the opportunities that are available are what I would call off-market opportunities. They're not readily available in the public domain. It's not like you can easily Google and pull up with ease that data and that insight. Well, what I've tried to do is leverage the proprietary intelligence, the data that I've developed, in order to empower my clients and to hopefully position them in a way that gives them the best advantage moving forward. And so that focus in developing that proprietary database and the relationships that came out of that, in essence, helped me build a crystal ball for not only projecting who is going to be the most likely to expand and grow in the future, but who are the most hungry as far as developers, landlords, et cetera, that I could match these requirements up with. And along the way, you meet entrepreneurs that you end up partnering with. Yeah. I mean, I've always seen myself as more of a business infrastructure expert and advisor, as opposed to a commissioned salesperson or a real estate broker. And
it shows, man.
Yeah, well, and leveraging that experience in order to help entrepreneurs, help companies, and advise them relative to their growth, and really taking them through every stage of it has been a key differentiator with what we provide.
Yeah, it's really cool that you mentioned that. And I look back at some of the conversations that we had more recently. We went to Los Hermanos and had lunch, but you were giving me advice, and actually, I was able to ask you questions on how to approach different things as I was in my journey, moving to where I'm at. And
I relate to you as an as a fellow entrepreneur. Yeah. I understand what's keeping you up at night. I understand how it feels to be hanging out there with personal guarantees and trying to fund it and trying to make the right decisions, in order to not get over your skis.
For sure. And it is really, for those of you guys that don't live in the state of Utah, this man has his name tattooed on more buildings than I think the city or than Manhattan has buildings in it.
Oh.
No, I'm not kidding. And so I actually introduced Brandon and my wife for the first time. I think we were at a Professor of Rock event.
Were.
Yeah, we were at a Professor of Rock.
I'm executive producing.
Right, and that's another thing we're going to be talking about. But you know, since I mentioned your name and you met my wife, we were out driving one night, and she's like, "Scott, have you noticed how many buildings have Brandon's name on it?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have." But it's amazing how many different, you know, buildings you are associated with. And
hundreds.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's even more than that. But you better believe after listening to you and Paul talk, I'm going to dive deeper into this. And I think this is actually fascinating. It's a really cool opportunity to talk about this journey because Paul had mentioned, you know, I don't know if you captured this, Cash, but you started with Paul with 6 employees.
Right. I came in, I interviewed with Paul and really the CEO. He was the vice president at the time, and they were getting ready to grow. And they wanted to have a broker that they could trust, that was hungry, that could help them go out and identify the right path to grow and not overcommit themselves. And it was funny. They were so small at the time. I remember Paul's partner mentioned to me when I met with him, he said, "I can't get anyone to call me back." He says, I'm not, no brokers are taking us seriously, and we really are going to grow this. And he said, you know, one reason why you're sitting here, Brandon, is because you returned my call and you treated our requirement with urgency. I really felt that you had a sincere interest in immediately engaging, regardless of what stage we're in. And we're a startup that is just preparing to grow. And
that's crazy. And you know what was cool is, you know, you'd mentioned you've probably done 100 million in transactions around
with Paul.
Just with Paul. So tell me about this journey, because you know we just started with the podcast. You were talking about how you really, really set the stage for this. Just, you know, if you're starting to work, it's almost like you're talking with me, like you were talking to Paul. You know, we're a little bit further along. However, you know, what did that path look like as you were talking or working with Paul and his partner in the early stages? Because six employees to thousands and thousands of employees. What took place, or did that actually help put the script together for you?
You bet. Well, it was the mid-90s. This is pre-Google. This is before there was any Silicon Slopes movement. In fact, you know, some of our greatest companies had yet to really rise and enter the scene here along the Wasatch Front, and they were growing a company and wanting to be disciplined in the way they went about it. They didn't want to overcommit. They wanted to grow in stages, and so we put together a plan, a strategy where we could upgrade their image appropriately, so they could recruit talent, be proud of where their offices were located, and to be able to leverage their office space as a strength as opposed to a liability, to take it and to take it to the next level culturally, where when people arrived, they immediately knew that they were, you know, at the time it was UCN, and then it became In Contact. But the company changed its name, I think, about 4 times along that path.
That's right.
You know, over decades.
That's right.
But the same principles applied, regardless of what pivot occurred or what they chose to do as far as expand into different business lines. That facilities planning strategy and using their space or their physical requirement in order to propel their image and their identity and their culture was, I think, a key part of their success. Yeah. There are only a couple of things that you can control as an executive, as you know. You can control how much you pay people, your salaries, and you know what kind of environment that you're building. But then your overhead to a degree, and where you locate, and what kind of image that presents, and locationally, how you're going to leverage that location in order to recruit talent and retain talent is going to be key. I mean, you're a good case in point. Yeah, you're a growing company. Right. And you're right off the freeway. You just located to the second floor of this building, Mountain Tech, and it has provided you with rights of expansion, some free rent, some ability to be able to stage your growth over time, so you're not overcommitting, and to be able to provide an environment that feels modern, that feels sleek, that is collaborative. And to Paul's requirement, and so many other companies, you can go down the list of hundreds, if not thousands, of companies here along the Wasatch Front that have followed the same process. It isn't rocket science, but there is a process
for sure
that if followed appropriately, if followed with diligence, it can really yield tangible results. I mean, I look at both the qualitative and the quantitative aspects associated with evaluating, real estate,
For sure.
commercial real estate, and then helping people prioritize and score them appropriately, and then advance to the next level. That's really key. But the fun part of it all is to see companies grow and entrepreneurs really, really help command a position in the market and bring not only job creation, but also, elevate our world.
Right.
From a young age, I was fascinated by the stories of the captains of industry. I had my own subscription to the Wall Street Journal and Business Week in high school, and I was obsessed. In fact, I'd turn over my Business Week and my Wall Street Journal to my business teacher at Pleasant Grove High School after I was done, so we could compare notes. And
That's awesome.
as I was nearing the end of my senior year, I was so hungry to not just go to school, where I went to what is now UVU, but I also wanted to work full time and choose a career path that would afford me the opportunity to work with the captains of industry and the entrepreneurs, the people that I was reading about. And commercial real estate provided that,
For sure.
that path. And the rest is history. But to be able to see a tangible manifestation of my labors
awesome.
on kind of the landscape of our world has been really
awesome.
gratifying.
It's funny. I had the same way of thinking at a young age. I wanted to do something that allowed me to work with the captains, as you call it, and work with people, or offer a service or something that would allow me to work with the people that I wanted to work with, especially the owners of company,
the risk takers.
That's right.
The risk takers and visionaries. Thank heavens for the risk takers. Anyone who's tuning into this podcast that is a risk taker, entrepreneur, that is really putting it on the line, I salute you.
Amen.
I honor you, because you are the lifeblood. That is what differentiates the United States, our community, from everywhere else in the world. And capitalism, a free capitalistic market, is the way to really achieve the best results. Is it perfect? No. But
yeah, right.
But does it provide a vehicle for people to have incentive to take risk and receive reward in exchange for that risk, to be able to pull themselves up? I mean, you look at the great entrepreneurs right now of our day, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. I mean, and I know they have their haters and they're polarizing people, but Elon Musk has gone on record saying that he bet the farm on Tesla and SpaceX. I mean, he really went all in, risked everything, and could have lost everything. He could just as well be penniless. And he could someday be, I mean, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It's risky. But thank goodness people can still live the American dream. And there's an opportunity for everyone, regardless of what walk in life. I mean, as much as I like to talk about the captains of industry, the reality is the people that are my heroes are the people who are excellent at whatever they choose to do, whether it be teach.
Absolutely.
Whether they're an engineer, whether even, some of the people I truly love seeing the most are the people at Friends gas station in Pleasant Grove, where I pick up my 52-ounce Diet Mountain Dew every morning. They are so attentive, and they make me want to come back. Even if the prices have doubled because of inflation over the last couple of years, it's that experience and the way people make you feel and the way they really do their jobs and serve.
That's right. I'm happy you mentioned the word experience. I asked you a question. You may not remember this. 2020 changed the world. But one of the things that I remember asking you about, going to work at an office space every day shifted or changed a little bit. And I asked you point blank, is this a concern? Is this gonna impact heavily the experience that's happening at the workspace? Is the workspace going to die?
Right.
And I'm not sure if I'm going to get the same answer I got that day, but you had a comment for me. How you had some thoughts for me that I want to kind of expand on. But what are your thoughts? Do you think the workspace is ever going to become irrelevant, like truly irrelevant? Is it always going to be important for a business like mine or any business out there?
Yeah, it's a hot topic. And even though there are certain positions that can be fulfilled in a remote or work from home setting, that's not how this country was built.
That's right.
This country was built on innovation, on collaboration, on teamwork, and on good, solid, hard work, and that grind. That and a lot of people have given me a hard time. They say, "Oh, you celebrate hustle culture or whatever." I don't know the new term, but the reality is, hustle is what helped create our economy and our world. And I believe that our workspaces are more important than ever to bring people together, to collaborate. One thing that the pandemic did do is, I think it forced us to take a new look at how effective our workspaces were, and
absolutely,
and also to be sensitive to people's situation. I think it was important to hit a little bit of a reset and recognize that we can use technology to allow people to have a little bit of flexibility. We don't want people to come into the workplace if they're sick, if they're caregivers. I mean, if you have a valued employee that needs a more flexible work schedule, and they're a single mother, for example, and they're trying to get their kids to school, or they're trying to juggle so many other responsibilities, yet they are in every respect top in their field and qualified and a valued part of the team, and you want to provide them with the right type of environment to thrive. And it doesn't necessarily have to be within a 8 to 5 type of setting, but I do think you need to have people together.
Absolutely.
And I think the notion that we're more productive now than ever before. You see all of these polls the last year or two where, whether it be in the Wall Street Journal or any number of periodicals, where they say, oh yeah, 85% of employees polled say that they're more productive than ever working from home. You know what I have to say to that? That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. And
agree.
People are getting away with being dishonest and lying through their teeth, because I'm telling you, with very few exceptions, people are not more productive when they have the distractions that you have at home, when you're trying to deal with things that are frankly not central to production, to actually getting stuff done. We've heard the term supply chain used, I don't know how many times, as an excuse of, oh, well, there's supply chain issues. We're not getting product in. It takes forever now to be able to get some of the most basic items if you're building a house, or if you're trying to get to the store. And I think in large part, I mean, it's a very complex topic, but I think when people aren't producing optimally, of course, you're not going to have the same level of production. You're going to have gaps. You're going to have failures. You're going to have bottlenecks. And when people aren't working, when people aren't putting in a full, honest day's work, and they're getting away with essentially bilking their employers. Yeah. This is, I know I'm getting into really
this is
politically incorrect territory here.
This is good.
But when people are given the opportunity to do a half-assed job and get paid a full wage because of the environment, because of whether it be political correctness or the current environment coming out of the pandemic, it creates systemic issues. And I don't care what anyone says, the mental illness issues, the mental health issues that have been born out of the pandemic, and some of the dynamics.
Great, skyrocketing.
And I could pontificate on this for hours, but I do think, bringing it back full circle, our workspaces and the places we congregate and we innovate, that we interact with each other and we motivate each other. Positive peer pressure. I've brought that up on occasion. I think I got in trouble on woke Twitter the other day for talking about the fact that, those casual collisions and that positive pressure in the workforce is actually a driver. It helps people to perform, to become their best selves, to hopefully, I think, create something that transcends just
right.
the typical workaday mundane experience. And anyways,
Yeah, no, I love that's kind of what you shared with me, but I think there is such incredible power bringing a group of individuals or people together that are passionate about what you're working towards, and there's a common goal amongst all of them to come in and build something together.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone says, everyone needs human contact.
I know
It's humanity.
Well, and how many times do those collisions, do those interactions that are just random, or I don't really believe in any coincidences anymore, but let's just call them random interactions that occur that end up driving innovation, that end up driving production. I can't tell you how many times, this is going to sound terrible, but how many times I've bumped into people in the bathroom running to go use the bathroom, and someone says, "Oh, I have someone that wants your building," or someone literally that I collide with in the most unlikely of circumstances in the workplace, even unconventionally, will end up leading to.
You're absolutely right.
To deals.
You're absolutely right.
And so, anyways, I think the future of business, the future of our workspaces will be focused on employee experience. We talked about experience.
There you said it.
It's going to be about creating meaningful experiences and places where people can thrive, where they feel inspired. You have to have your workspace inspire you.
Man, you just nailed it. I was going to kind of go into that, but I don't even know if I touch it because you just absolutely crushed what I was trying to get across, or what I was going to say. It is all about experience. If you're running a business, if you can give your employees, partners, an experience that lifts them, that gives them a reason, right?
Yeah.
That gives them a reason to get up and go after it. They've got a purpose, right?
Yeah.
You are going to win. It really becomes about how long can you keep your employees around, excited, passionate, bringing new creative ideas, bringing results that makes them feel like they're a part of something special.
Well, I love it when I see people bring their families into the workplace.
Right.
When mom or dad actually bring their kids in because they want to show their kids where they work, and it's a point of pride.
That's right.
It's hey, this is where I'm working, this is what I'm producing. And you see their eyes light up, and the kids are like, wow,
yeah, man.
It brings it to life. And there is meaning in that. I mean, as much as life isn't all about work, you need to have work-life balance. And I'm a terrible example that I'm trying to achieve that. That's one of my goals. And it'll probably be something that I challenge with the rest of my life.
It's who you are.
It's the way I'm programmed. But I have to tell you, I think that our workspaces and the experience of being part of a collective, it doesn't have to be drudgery. It can be rewarding, and it can be inspiring. And I think that's one thing that I love about what I do. The privilege of really tracking the market and tracking the projects that are really, I think, moving the needle, raising the bar, if you will, and provide an experience that is extraordinary, whether it be providing easier access for people to have closer proximity to where they live,
right,
to more amenities where people literally can within a few steps choose from dozens of restaurants and services.
Yeah, man, that stuff matters.
Yeah, it's a big part of what is driving decisions now, and I think will for the foreseeable future. It's going to be key. So it's an interesting time. But we do. The funny thing is, the more I get to know Scott, the more I recognize that he really is a kindred spirit, because we share so many, not only the same core principles, but same love of pop culture.
Yes.
Same love of cereal at midnight or 2 a.m.
And what about
there you go.
Who am I talking about?
Superman. We both love Superman, which was my favorite growing up. I was obsessed with Superman, going back to the original, the Christopher Reeve helmed.
I still am obsessed.
Yeah. So am I. So we share so many of the same.
Yeah, and love of cereal. It's funny. You and I have spent a lot of time. He's awesome on Twitter. Twitter's my favorite social platform. I don't know what yours is. It might be Twitter.
Well,
LinkedIn.
my favorite is actually LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Twitter is kind of the bathroom wall of the internet. But I will tell you,
the bathroom wall of the internet.
Yeah.
Oh man, Elon, did you hear that? Oh man, that's kind of funny.
But the beautiful thing about Twitter is it's so instantaneous. The interaction, the public interaction, is unbeatable. The platform, if used properly, is electric.
For sure.
LinkedIn is more buttoned down, it has its purpose. It is more of a business platform by design. Facebook, I don't even know where that fits in the equation. It's a little bit outmoded these days. TikTok, I know I'll probably be forced into it, but I have resisted.
If it's still around.
Yeah, but I'd probably say Twitter, LinkedIn, and to some measure Instagram. And the reason why all three of those platforms, I can cross-pollinate. I can feature business.
Yeah.
I can feature pop culture, thought leadership. You don't have to be pigeonholed, and they all present, I think, a different spin or a little bit different way of interacting with your network and expanding your network.
You are awesome on social media. It's not every day. Be real with me. Do you have someone handle any of your social media? You're doing it all
100%.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
because you do a great job. Interaction, engagement.
I'm trying.
So
it comes and goes in waves. I don't know about you, but it's some days I have I'll have a few windows of time where I can.
That was my question. When are those windows? Because I know you're home with family.
Yeah,
weekend. Your beautiful wife. You got it's
weekends or late at night is
you
really
and I are bad. Late at night.
I know. Late at night, it's like, Scott will send out a call to he'll say, okay, what's your favorite cereal? I'm gonna, you're gonna go binge on whatever the new sugary sweet concoction. And it's so funny because I'm like,
I know.
I haven't had dinner. I'm just coming home from the office and it's like 1 a.m. and the only brother that is out there that is like, but it is feeling me.
Yeah.
And it's not very glamorous. But it's real.
Fun.
It keeps it real.
I love that you do your own thing. I need to be better about LinkedIn. That's one place I have not found a love for, a passion. Can you give me some pointers? I'm serious.
It's more business. So the thing I love about LinkedIn is people endeavor on LinkedIn to keep it more formal, to keep some level of formality and professionalism that you don't have with the other platforms.
Doesn't that get old though? Like for real? I feel like I'll get on there and it just, some of the stuff.
Well, I'll tell you though, here's the thing. On LinkedIn, you can't be just an anonymous troll. You have to take ownership of your comments.
Yeah.
And I love the fact, I'll have someone who will call me out who will sharply disagree with either my opinion or something that I'm posting, or will have a concern about something that I'm championing. And the thing I love about LinkedIn is you see exactly who you're interacting with.
It's a real person. It's not a troll.
Yeah. And you're not dealing with, in most cases, you're not dealing with a bot. You're dealing with executives. You're dealing with peers. And that's what I appreciate about LinkedIn. And it's not perfect. It's a mess as well.
Yeah.
But it seems to
keep it real.
It provides a platform where professionals can interact in open forum and exchange ideas. And the problem I have with Instagram and with Twitter is you have trolls that aren't willing to take responsibility or accountability. They'll throw stones, but they won't own those comments. It's like the Salt Lake Tribune or KSL boards, message boards.
Yeah.
You have all of these haters.
Trash.
And no one is willing to take responsibility. And I love it when someone has the courage to publicly say, hey, Brandon, I disagree with you, or say something that is negative and own it, so I can at least either respectfully resolve concerns, try to address it, or at least be more mindful of where I'm coming from.
Amen. I agree.
There are occasions where I'm trying my best, but where where I will say something and it is completely misinterpreted, or the intent behind something that I'm passionate about ends up offending someone. And I love the opportunity to learn, to grow, and in some cases really apologize and course correct where I'm at with a particular topic, or
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
or something like that. And you can get that on LinkedIn more, not to champion, because there is no perfect platform. They're all a mess.
Yeah.
But they all have their advantages too. I love the fact that on Instagram, it's very easy to have video content. It's very user experience, very experiential to a degree.
Yeah.
It's a little bit clunky on LinkedIn. It's, at least I don't have as much command over the platform. I'm not as agile.
Yeah.
And I see that you're reaching different audiences, and there are different ways of communicating, and it isn't a one size fits all.
Yeah. Yeah. I do know that I need to be more willing to get on LinkedIn on a regular basis, especially, as an entrepreneur.
Well, you're an executive.
I know I got to get after it. So I get a lot of heat for it, but
your megaphone in the community is important.
Yeah.
And I, again, I'm not trying to champion one over the other, but for business in particular, it has been more effective for me. Does it have problems? Yes. I mean, am I hit up? I'm constantly getting connection requests from bots. I'm sure they're not real people. It's just, but I will say I can reject those.
Yeah.
And I can just ignore them and really focus and fine tune my network to a degree there better than other places. But I could go off on the other, but I've had great meaningful experiences interacting with people in the other forms. I mean, on Twitter, for example, it's fun because I have a global kind of network or audience of people that I interact with on some of my more unconventional pursuits that are outside of the realm of commercial real estate and conventional business.
Yep. So I, as we're kind of wrapping it up here, I want to jump into a couple other things to kind of talk more. We know Brandon Fugal as the real estate mogul, right? But he's involved in a lot of fun stuff. I want to talk about Skinwalker's Ranch.
Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch, the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet.
Did you hear that? Say that one more time.
Yeah.
It's what?
It is the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet. It's a 512-acre piece of property that I acquired 7 years ago from an elusive billionaire out of Las Vegas, Robert Bigelow. And I bought it as a skeptic, as someone who had never seen a UFO, a ghost, an orb, or anything of the sort. And I was convinced at the time when I acquired the property that I would end up essentially debunking it, that I would end up proving that there was a natural, prosaic explanation.
Then what happened?
It took about 6 months of owning it and flying in my helicopter and getting briefed periodically. But it took about 6 months before I myself actually saw something that defied any
What did you see?
A flying saucer. So in broad daylight. So my game-changing experience, and what literally flipped the script for me and changed my entire worldview, was on October 14th, 2016, I was entertaining a visiting dignitary and his security entourage that came in for the day. And I had professed my skepticism earlier in the day, and I let them know, if you think you're coming to Skinwalker Ranch signing liability waivers and confidentiality agreements, and you think that you're going to see strange phenomena, I need to warn you right now, I'm the owner, and for the last 6 months, I have yet to personally witness anything or even feel anything unusual. And I gave that disclaimer earlier in the day. Well, that day was a game changer. Totally unexpected. Everything from electromagnetic anomalies to, we saw, one of the party was rendered catatonic.
Oh.
We saw our smartphones drained from literally like 80% charge to zero within a matter of minutes. And then at one point, it was in the afternoon, about 4:00 p.m. on that day, we were traveling back to go retrieve our iPhones that we'd had plugged in because they'd been drained mysteriously earlier. And right in the middle of driving back on the dirt road that runs to the base of the Mesa Plateau, that runs east-west across the property, a gentleman in the back started shouting to stop the vehicle. I was driving. It was an open-air Polaris Ranger. I brought it to a stop, looking back over my shoulder to see what he was talking about. He's pointing right up ahead, and sure enough, I turned my attention right ahead where he was pointing, and there was a 40, 50-foot long silver grayish flying saucer, a disc-like object that was hovering right above the Mesa Plateau in broad daylight. In fact, because it was late in the day, I remember there was this glint, kind of a little bit of a kind of a light on that side, reflection from the sun that had been passing over in that part of the sky in that part of the day. And it moved in split second increments. It moved, darted to one side, moved 50 feet in the blink of an eye. You didn't even see it. It just changed position. And then it dropped. And we were all sitting there in amazement and saying, did you just see that? And then after it maneuvered a number of different ways as if it was monitoring us.
Like, was it like what kind of maneuver?
Yeah,
Like talking like
to the left,
like,
and then it dropped down, and then it darted
like
to the
in
right.
one swift movement. It wasn't like
It was almost it was so instantaneous. It was almost like a video game. It was like bing, and then within 20 seconds it was gone, like a bullet, or it just blinked.
But
out
you
of
watched
our
it for
reality.
20 seconds.
Yeah, 20 seconds, and we were shocked. The two gentlemen that were attending security that witnessed the event had professed how skeptical they were earlier in the day, and they were sitting there in stunned silence. And all three of us ended up being kind of sequestered by my scientist, by my physicist and chief scientist, Eric Bard, later to get our accounts, to be able to transcribe our accounts, and they all matched up, and we all saw the same thing. So, I mean, it was a game changer, Scott, to have electromagnetic anomalies. I mean, smartphones that were malfunctioning oddly for no reason, to seeing this huge 6'6" individual who was there as security for the dignitary that was visiting, that he was rendered catatonic for a period of about 10 minutes, was frozen, couldn't move, and ended up actually being ill for weeks following his visit. And then ultimately, having our smartphones completely drained to zero, and then seeing what can only be described as a UFO in broad daylight. This wasn't just some blinking light or some hazy object out in the distance. This is something that was clear as day right in front of us, that performed maneuvers that defy any conventional explanation.
So, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I know Brandon, so I'm like, I actually believe Brandon. But I know people are like, this dude is crazy as hell. There's no way that actually happened. But I'm listening to you, and I'm like, okay. So have you heard of the movie Fire in the Sky?
Yeah, of course, I've seen it.
My mom went to high school with him.
The story of Travis Walton. Yeah, I know all about
yes,
it.
my mom went to high school with him.
Yeah.
And she knew him personally, and that story is nuts. If you haven't seen Fire in the Sky, it scared them.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people. I mean, one thing that has surprised me as I came forward.
Does it scare you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Does it scare you, or is it more fascinating to you, or
Depends on the day or the hour. I think what drives our investigation is frontier science discovery at its best. I mean, we're trying to understand the nature of what we are seeing, what we are documenting, and believe that what is happening at Skinwalker Ranch, that seems to be the center of gravity for more UFO sightings, bizarre cattle mutilations that have occurred over decades, if not millennia, electromagnetic anomalies. I mean, compasses, I've witnessed compasses just spinning. GPS doesn't work properly above this property, above this kind of mysterious region of the property we refer to as the triangle. All of these things combine to really, I think, not only underscore the fact that it's potentially the greatest science project of our time, but it could hold the key or keys to understanding the nature of our reality, our place in the universe. If we can prove with empiricism that we're not alone in the universe, or that we live in a multidimensional or interdimensional reality, and you can do so scientifically, And I believe that's what we're interacting with to a degree. People ask me all the time, are you documenting what you believe to be extraterrestrial or visitation from other worlds, or is it interdimensional, multidimensional time travelers, or is it angels and demons? And I tell them I think it's all the above. I think it's option D. And for whatever reason, it seems to all be converging in this one place. So having the History Channel partner up a couple of years ago, I mean, I never intended to reveal my identity as the owner. In fact, I had everyone under strict NDA for years. I was pouring significant amounts of money, you can only imagine, into establishing the scientific platforms and the investigation, with no desire to ever go public or have my name associated with such topics. But finally, in 2020, 4 years after I had owned it and had witnessed phenomena and documented things with my team, I was Jedi mind tricked by one of the top producers at History Channel.
They're good.
And I was convinced to come out, to go public with the reality of it, and to allow a team of professionals, the finest documentary filmmaking professionals on the planet, arguably, inside the gates, to follow, to actually document a very real, ongoing investigation. And it's funny that it isn't only occurring when there are cameras rolling for 3 to 4 months of the year. This is a year-round investigation. My chief scientist hasn't hardly left the ranch in over a year and a half. He lives in the command center, keeping constant watch and vigil over everything, over almost 50 surveillance cameras, thermographic imaging, infrasonic sensors. We have our own avionics receiving platforms, you name it, because we are trying to, in the best way possible, carefully document and monitor what is happening and better understand it. So anyways, sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, it's fascinating. It's fascinating stuff. So in the event that something, is caught on your sensors or whatever, does it like light up?
Yeah.
Does he sleep in the middle of the night? He's like runs to a screen to see what's going on, or
so there is an event detection mechanism within the security, within the surveillance platforms, where movement, specific types of movement or objects are picked up and then cataloged. We have some degree of artificial intelligence that is being applied in order to parse through the data. You got to think, we are taking terabytes of data every day, from all of these platforms that are reporting in, and being able to separate the signal from the noise, being able to pull out that which is truly unusual and differentiate it from the mundane. Because I'll tell you, the majority of the UFO sightings that occur, the high strangeness that people report, I do believe has a natural explanation, whether it be, it be drones or instrumental balloons or people convincing themselves, and that something environmental happening that people can't really explain or readily explain, that they end up attributing supernatural cause to. But here's the thing. Let's say that there's only 1%. Let's say that there are only 1% of all sightings that have multiple witnesses, that also have other correlations, whether it be electromagnetic anomalies. In the case of fighter pilots, we have some of our most seasoned fighter pilots and radar technicians that have come forward in the last several years with their testimony that they've experienced unidentified aerial phenomena, that they have seen it, that the propulsion systems that are being utilized by these objects defy any conventional explanation. These are the most trained, seasoned pilots and experts in the Department of Defense. And then you couple with that a private entrepreneurial research effort like Skinwalker Ranch. And I think by collaborating, by pulling all of this data together, it starts to present a very interesting picture.
Oh, yeah.
And some people can't handle it. I will tell you, there are a lot of people that can't handle the truth. They don't want to know, because
too much.
Well, it is a little bit terrifying when you think about it. If our airspace can be violated indiscriminately by objects or beings, entities that that aren't really accountable, that are operating
It's
using
terrifying.
physics.
It can be terrifying.
I mean, we have something called the Hitchhiker Effect that we have been documenting, which is the phenomena where people who come out to Skinwalker Ranch and participate in various experiments and visit, when they leave and they go home, things follow them. Whether it be orbs, poltergeist-like phenomena, strange things follow them home. In some cases, terrorize their family, end up creating all sorts of difficulty.
Crazy.
And that's another side of the story. I mean, people ask, well, is there some malevolence to this? Is there a negativity? And there is. I mean, we're experiencing things that sometimes are negative. I've had a number of people on my team that have unfortunately ended up in the hospital with strange illnesses and injuries that the medical professionals state defy any conventional explanation.
You're talking about injuries on their body?
Yes, I'm talking about radiation burns. I'm talking about strange just illness that renders them completely immobilized.
Illnesses
Sick.
that doctors cannot.
They can't diagnose. I mean, Thomas Winterton, who is my ranch manager and superintendent, almost died. And it's because the back of his skull, while working out at the ranch, ended up being mysteriously irradiated. He ends up in the hospital, ends up almost losing his life. Thank goodness he recovered. And the doctors, and we have hundreds of pages of medical reports of toxicology and analysis relative to his case alone. And the conclusion is it's hard to come up with some type of conventional conclusion other than, well, there was an advanced beam energy device that must have been focused at the base of his skull out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a remote area of Utah on a secure property. Anyhow, I can go off on tangents.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
sorry.
man. No,
So,
this is awesome.
there are aspects to the phenomena and what we are experiencing that are risky, that require a degree of humility and reverence. If you've seen the show, I try to advise everyone who comes out there, regardless of their religious background or ideology, to prepare themselves spiritually or consciously to enter the property with a spirit of reverence or humility, because we are interacting with forces, with entities that we don't understand, that have command over space-time, that have the ability to literally size you up, Scott, consciously. Imagine entering a piece of property and something being able to tap into your consciousness and know what you fear most and be able to play off of those fears and manipulate your consciousness. I'm not exaggerating.
No, I'm with you on this.
This is, and it's real, and it's part of our world, and it's something that we are finally documenting.
It's fascinating
for the first
stuff.
time.
I mean, I know there's something out there. There has to be. I mean,
Well,
there has to be. You can't look at.
It's
you can't look at
ignorance.
this-
It's equal parts ignorance and arrogance to think that we're alone in the universe
No,
and that we're
yeah.
the only intelligent life, or that, you look at how much we have advanced in 100 years. 100 years ago, most of society was still getting around with horse and buggies.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
And that was just 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, my family had a blacksmith shop for shoeing horses in Pleasant Grove, 5 minutes from here, that was active, that was operating 100 years ago.
That's crazy.
And now we have a Library of Alexandria in our pockets. In fact, it's probably 100,000 times the Library of Alexandria in our pockets. We are seeing miracles. We are seeing innovation come forward in ways that our ancestors would have never imagined. And to think that other worlds, other exoplanets, and even other dimensions of reality haven't advanced well beyond anything we can imagine and are not monitoring us. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're being monitored right now. I mean, here's the thing. The idea of this world, of our reality, being a divinely inspired and constructed space, that there are no coincidences, that we aren't alone.
Right.
I mean, that's that's in alignment with how people have really viewed reality and the universe since the beginning of time. Now,
Right.
having a scientifically driven effort
It's cool.
to actually understand
That's really
the nature
cool.
of that. Anyways, sorry to go off on these
No,
tangents.
I love it. I mean, this is why I love this podcast, is talking about interesting stuff. I mean, this is interesting. There's no one, you know, switching the channel listening to this conversation. Like, everyone's going to be like, whoa.
Well, it's true.
It's fascinating.
And to anyone who thinks that I'm full of it, I haven't taken a penny personally relative to this endeavor. I have, by design, not opened a bank account for the entity that owns the ranch. I've donated those funds, have assigned them to other causes. I don't want anyone to ever question the integrity of what we are doing. I'm not trying to sensationalize these topics. Heaven forbid. I don't want these topics or these efforts to undermine the credibility of what I'm working on in the business sector, but I can't deny the reality associated with these topics, and someone has to advance them. I mean, I feel like it's part of my stewardship.
Yeah, if it's not you, who's it going to be? I mean, yeah, I agree, and I think it's great, man. I think it's fun. It's got to be fun too.
Well,
you know,
it's like Stranger Things for real. Have you ever seen Stranger Things?
Of course. You kidding me?
I think Skinwalker Ranch is kind of like the upside down.
Cool.
There's another show that was on, I can't remember which channel, but it was with Josh Brolin, called Open Range.
Yeah.
Where this farmer finds this void out in the.
Yeah.
I swear, I think they were watching Skinwalker Ranch. I think they were watching The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. There was a recent movie that came out called Nope.
Oh, is that? Yeah, it's like a UFO movie, right? Was it good? Did you see it?
Yeah, Nope. And
was it awesome, or was it?
It was awesome.
It
had a really unique take. But in watching it, I thought, oh, I know what I know what influenced this, and it's the
cool,
reality of our investigation and what is happening in our world. But
cool. Well, I am so stoked we had a chance to talk about this. The truth is, I could have you on 5 different shows and not even touch all the cool stuff that you have. I mean, you have such a cool story. But I am going to finish this off with some fun, I call them whack questions, to get to know you a little bit better. Bring it on. We're going to fire these off real quick to just have some fun, to get to know the inner Brandon Fugal. Okay. What is your favorite film of all time?
It's a Wonderful Life. Number 1. Number 2 is Karate Kid.
It's a good one.
Number 3 is Close Encounters. No surprise.
That is a great list. Every one of those, and they all got good meaning to it. So I love the Karate Kid.
Makes me cry every time.
Do you like the
Cobra Kai?
Yeah.
Oh, obsessed. I've seen
Johnny, dude.
And it's so fantastic. And I happen to be one of those who ascribes to the belief that Daniel LaRusso was really the real bully in the Karate Kid. That he, you think about it. He comes into town, steals Johnny's girl, played by Elizabeth Shue, Allie, with an eye.
My first crush of all time.
And then at the very end, what does he do? He kicks poor Johnny in the nose.
Knocks him.
And cheats, wins by default. And I feel like, and he's egging him on. Remember when Daniel LaRusso, Johnny and his buddies are just out minding their own business. In fact, he's in the bathroom taking a break, sitting on the toilet. And what does Daniel LaRusso do? Oh, he gets kind of smart alecky, and he weaves a hose over the urinal there, over the stall, and ends up drenching Johnny. Can you blame him and his friends for being a little bit upset?
What a take. What a take on all this. You actually are right. You really think about it. I love Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai's awesome.
Well, and the actors who play those characters, I've had the privilege of meeting several of them.
Have you really?
Oh, Billy Zabka.
Is it Ralph Macchio?
Yeah,
Is it right?
I haven't met Ralph Macchio, but Billy Zabka, William Zabka, who plays Johnny Lawrence, incredible.
Yeah, I heard he's a great
He's just a class act. He's an incredible human being. Martin Kove, who plays Sensei Kreese,
the
evil sensei, also remarkable individual. The new cast with Cobra Kai. Anyway, sorry. Next question.
Awesome. One of my friends, childhood friends, actually helped produce the whole thing.
What?
Lauren Rosen is her name. Well, actually, she's been married, but Lauren, good old Lauren, she played a big role in it, which is
You're
so fun.
kidding.
Yeah, true story.
Fantastic.
True story. Your favorite superhero of all time?
Yeah, Superman.
Duh.
Absolutely.
In fact, I have a little gift for you.
What?
So we have a huge collection of Superman stuff. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
I still think we need to put it on display at UVU.
We will. Ultimately, we're going to have the Great Superman Museum.
I got you 2 little things. These are, I mean, they're nothing big. It's just a fun. These are 2 little action figures.
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is
right?
the DC multiverse Superman.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh,
yeah. So these are 2 little, just like, you know, hey,
this is awesome. This is badass.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted you to have that.
Thank you so much. This will go. So I have Christopher Reeve's flying suit.
Yeah, I know, and I'm quite jealous about that.
I have the original Krypton crystal that young Clark Kent throws,
and it turns into the
Fortress
of Solitude.
Yes,
good fruit. Yep.
Got the baby
awesome.
blanket. Remember the baby blanket?
Yes. I am so jealous about all this. I'm not gonna lie.
No, we'll compare. No, we'll bring it all together.
Okay,
I love this.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. Wow, so unexpected.
So this guy, and we didn't have a lot of time to talk about it. Professor of Rock, music. This dude is a music nerd like I am. It's Depeche Mode or Duran Duran?
Depeche Mode is my favorite group of all time. We have yet to have Depeche Mode on Professor of Rock, but we just flew in Billy Idol this last week for what was. It's the closest thing to a fireside, to a spiritual fireside within a rock setting that you can imagine.
That's awesome.
Adam Reeder, who is a professor of rock, who's a dear friend of mine, and I've had the privilege of executive producing a lot of his content and supporting the effort, has a gift, has the ability.
He's incredible.
He has the ability to draw out of these icons, these artists that we all know. He has the ability to draw out of them the stories behind the soundtrack of our lives. What inspired these songs that literally have shaped our worldview? I think there is no more powerful time machine on this planet than music. Amen. Think about it.
Yeah.
Music as a medium has the ability to transform, to transport you to places and transport you back to places
time
and
machine.
To inspire. So yeah, we both have a love for Professor Red. So Billy Idol was a recent.
Yeah.
We've had everyone from Sammy Hagar. I gotta tell you, Sammy Hagar of Van Halen, and I'll go to the mat with Sammy Hagar being superior to David Lee Roth all day long. 5150. I mean, you look at the albums that went multi-platinum, the real songwriting genius that was really forged from the friendship and the association between Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen to this day continues to really be the soundtrack of our lives. But anyways, next question.
No, that's great. It's great. The final and closing question. I actually know the answer to this. Your favorite cereal. I only got halfway there, dude. The Fruit Loops with marshmallows, dude, it is tough to find, man.
It is tough.
I brought you something in its place. So I brought you Fruit Loops, okay?
Oh, you're kidding.
I brought you Fruit Loops.
Okay,
I'm going to get you marshmallows, okay?
Nah.
But to make up for it, this is my new sleeper. Have you had this yet?
I haven't. Oh, that looks sinful.
This is
probably...
cereal, and this is an unpaid endorsement, okay? Cinnabon.
Oh my gosh.
This is possibly in my top 5 cereals officially as of the past couple past couple months. But I want you to have that. They're not easy to find.
Thank you so much. I haven't even seen this. And do you know what shocks me about this? It says 170 calories. I was surprised. I was expecting it to be 1,000 calories per bowl.
Because of Cinnabons. But they did this right because they care about cereal eaters like us.
Well, this is a beautiful thing because many a late night we're both grinding it out as entrepreneurs, and those late nights it's a lonely walk.
That's right, and that's a reward. It's just
well,
so wonderful.
I have to tell you, my mother, who I adore, my dear mother, was very health conscious growing up, and it was very rare that we had any sweet cereals. And I mean, if we had Cheerios, it was a real treat.
Like just original Cheerios?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Or like, and even this will sound, shredded wheat.
Oh, gosh.
Which is like, it's like eating wicker furniture. But I swore that when I became an adult and had my own family and moved out, that I would eat whatever cereal I wanted. And once I moved out, I proceeded to binge on those cereals. I don't know that I've stopped.
My brother from another mother. We have a lot in common. Dude, thanks so much for being on.
Oh, it's a privilege.
Been a lot of fun. Some good stuff today.
Well,
good stuff.
Congratulations on your success.
Thank you, brother.
Next chapters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're just getting warmed up.
That's right. Where can people find you on social media?
Easy. LinkedIn, Brandon Fugal, BrandonFugal. Twitter, same thing, at Brandon Fugal. Very easy to find. I'm verified on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
And you can follow my journey. It's
good. He is a great follow. So go give him a follow, you all. Thanks again for being on.
Thank you.